Hello world. So I'm coming to you live from my kitchen and I'm here finally to make the Wentworth season 9 episode 4 review video. I'm not even going to talk about the stress and strife that happened yesterday. I'm going to just get right into this review video. So the Wentworth season 9 episode 4 review video begins now. So this episode begins, okay, with a musical montage. Let me just throw this in. I love when Wentworth does these musical montages, okay? So it begins with a musical montage and it's Ali Novak. She's in her cell. So they show Ali going through her daily motions. You know what I'm saying? She wakes up in the morning, she gets dressed, brushes her teeth, uses the bathroom, goes to work out in the yard. You know what I'm saying? That you see her going to her therapy sessions with Dr. Miller. And this is like her day-to-day routine. So you see it day after day happening. She's doing the same thing, waking up, working out with Judy Bryant's treacherous fucking ass not far behind. You know what I'm saying? And she looks like she's miserable, but she's doing what she has to do. And then at the end of the montage, we see her brushing her teeth and she's in pain. And so we know moving forward, she's going to be going to the dentist, which we all already knew because of the spoiler pictures and the articles and shit. So from there, the next scene is Ali in the yard, and she's there sitting in her chair and she's looking up at the sky, probably thinking about B. Smith, okay? When all of a sudden, Boomer comes. Ali asks Boomer, how you feeling? You know what I'm saying? And she's like, I'm good. My shit just itches. You know what I'm saying? And Ali's like, oh, that's good. That means that they're healing. You know what I'm saying? And while they're sitting there, Boomer's looking at all the women and she's like, cunt number 1, cunt number 2, cunt number 3. I think you know what this place needs? More cunts. First of all, that's such an ugly word. I know that I say a lot of despicable things, but the word cunt, I think is just such an ugly, ugly word. So then the next scene is Eve Wilder, okay? She's in intake. They're taking her photo for her identification card, all right? So Eve Wilder is now in intake, okay? Jake is doing the intake or whatever when he realizes who she is. And he's like, wait a second, are you Nanny Wilder? And she's like, yes, I am. And he's like, oh shit, do you have any tips as far as colicky babies? And she tells him, try a hot water bottle. He asks her, what are you in for? He looks at her chart and sees it's a hit and run. You know what I'm saying? She basically hit someone with her vehicle and then fled the scene of the crime. She says she didn't know she hit the man. That's bullshit, okay? She knew damn well she hit him. We find out. Well, we don't find out for sure, but what we find out later lets us know she did it on purpose. So once he sees that, he goes right back to doing the intake. No more friendly chit-chatting. And she gives him this look. She looks at him. And I'm like, right then and there, she became like, you're the one that I want, Jake. You know what I'm saying? So she gave him these eyes like, yeah, you are the one. I saw it in her eyes, okay? She's going to become infatuated with Jake. And so the next scene is Rita talking to the detective. She's being interrogated by these detectives and they're asking her questions as far as the death of fucking Morelli, Officer Morelli. And so they're asking her questions about it. She's basically telling them the story. I didn't run because I wanted to run. I ran because I needed to see my dad. He was dying. And you can talk to my sister. She'll tell you what happened. You know what I'm saying? And that was that. They tell her, we're going to investigate this further and we'll come back here. You know what I'm saying? So the next scene is Jake showing Vera Eve Wilder's website. He's telling her, look, she's here. She's in the prison and this is who she is. She has this website where she gives parenting tips. You know what I'm saying? And Vera's like, hold the fuck up. You're taking parenting tips from a fucking criminal? You must be out your damn mind. You know what I'm saying? And so he's looking at her like, oh ye of little faith. So in walks in Linda Miles and summons Jake Stewart. She's like, come with me to collect these drug addict inmates and, you know, name and shame them, okay, basically. Linda mentioned something about the Jones drug test and how, you know, there was some weird drug in it, but it came out inconclusive, so they have no idea. So then the next scene is Vera bringing said drug test results of Joan Ferguson's to Dr. Miller. And she's like, and what's the meaning of this? Are you giving Joan Ferguson medication that she's not prescribed, that you shouldn't be giving her? And he's like, no. And so he puts the paper down and she's like, I'll take that. Thank you very much. She takes the drug test results. She leaves the office. All right. So the next scene is Lou Kelly and Mari, and they're walking into the unit, H6. My precious baby love, Lou Kelly, sees Eve Wilder inside Reb's cell. And she's like, oi, what the fuck are you doing in here? And Eve is looking at her like, Keke? Like, what? And she's like, get the fuck out of Reb's cell. And Eve's like, you know, acting like she don't know what the fuck is going on. And Lou's like, get the fuck out of Reb's cell, okay? She yells the words, get out, loudly at Eve, and Eve scurries out of the cell. She practically fucking ran out of the cell. It was more like a scurry. It was fucking hilarious, okay? So Eve scurries out of the cell, and then Mari comes and takes Lou. She's like, Lou, come with me. And she takes Lou to the side, and she's basically, you hear her in the distance saying, eventually they're gonna give this cell to somebody. You know what I'm saying? And that's really all that I heard her say. But at this moment, my thought, I wrote, who in the fuck does Mari think she is? The Lou Whisperer? And who the fuck does Mari think she is? I'll talk to Lou. Who the fuck are you? Lou's new mom? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need for you to back the fuck up and stay the fuck away from Lou because you got a lot of nerve. When Lou Kelly finds out that Mari's the one, okay, who got the wheels of Sheila's mind turning, and the results were Reb's death, Lou is gonna come for Mari in such a fucking way, and I can't wait for it, because Mari is playing herself, if you ask me. So, while Mari's talking to Lou and trying to talk her down, okay, Joan comes. Joan says something to Eve. Eve looks at her, and she's like, oh shit, I know you. You're Joan Ferguson. And Joan is like, nah, bitch, I'm Kath Maxwell. So Mari comes. Eve is like, I know her. She's Joan Ferguson. She used to be a guard at Blackmore. I was like, Eve, you're a bitch. Because you're talking like to Mari like Joan ain't even standing right the fuck next to you. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I don't like people like that. Anyway, so, you know, that's what Eve is telling Mari. I know this bitch. She was a guard, blah, blah, blah. And then so Mari tells Joan, don't worry. I got this. And I'm like, who in the fuck do you think you are? Like, do you think you're in charge of H6? Because if you do, you're not. Because you damn sure don't run Lou Kelly. And you definitely don't run Joan. Joan is playing you, if anything. Joan goes into her cell. And Mari's explaining to Eve about what happened with Joan's amnesia and how she is no longer Joan Ferguson. She is now Kath Maxwell. So then Eve goes to walk into her cell. You know what I'm saying? And they look at each other. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, yo, these two are going to be nothing but trouble. When Joan saw Eve, she just looked so unhappy, okay? What happens later on, okay, between these two women was so interesting and diabolical, okay, and hilarious. You'll see. You'll see. So the next scene is Allie in the dentist's office, and turns out she needs a cap for her tooth. That's what was wrong with her tooth. So the dentist is digging in her mouth and doing what he does, and he tells her, I'm gonna give you some gas now. Allie gets high. Allie gets high in the dentist's chair, and she sees this picture of the ocean, and in her mind, she's in the ocean, inside the water, okay, swimming. They don't show her, but that was it. So I was disappointed because I was hoping that this was the scene where we would see Allie have a vision of B. Smith. I'm beginning to feel like there will be no spirit visit. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna see B. Smith's spirit come to visit us at this point. I don't know. I have a sinking feeling that we're just not gonna see it. I hope I'm wrong though. So Allie comes out of her shit. She's still a little bit high. She's telling the dentist how amazing she thought the nitrous oxide was. You know what I'm saying? She's high as shit and loving every second of it. I'm so glad for her, you know? She's looking at the nitrous oxide canisters, and the dentist tells her, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. And then it looks like the wheels of her mind are turning. And at that point, I wasn't sure what she was up to. I knew she was going to steal the canister because it was revealed in one of those magazines. So Allie goes to leave the dentist's office, but the guard asks her to lift up the blanket before she leaves. She wanted to make sure that she didn't steal nothing from the dentist's office. You know what I'm saying? She lifts up the blanket. The coast is clear. The guard lets her go. So the next scene is Anne and Linda, and they're in the yard. And they have already put up one restraint station, those benches that Anne's fucking pussy ass decided to put up. So they're talking about it, and she's like, I want one over there, and I want one down yonder. When all of a sudden, somebody throws a bag filled with piss at Anne Reynolds, okay? The women erupt with laughter. They're all laughing, and they're like, oh my God, blah, 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 this is so hilarious. Judy Bryant's happy ass is there cracking the fuck up too. Let me fucking tell you something about Judy Bryant's fucking treacherous ass. This bitch, she needs to get it, and her fucking day is coming. So somebody was like, who did that? And Anne is like, she did it. She points at Judy Bryant's treacherous ass. Okay, so the fucking screws go. They restrain Judy. She's huffing and puffing all the way to the fucking restraint station. Okay, and she's like, you know, she's pissed. She's mad. She's cursing. She's like blowing smoke out of her mouth and her ears and her nose, you know what I'm saying? And then she looks at my precious baby love, Luke Kelly, and she says, what are you gonna do about it, top dog? And Luke Kelly tells her, I ain't gonna do jack shit, bitch. I ain't doing shit. I'm not doing a damn thing about it, is what she tells Judy Bryant, and she laughs. It was fucking great. So while this is all going on, Rita's there as well, and Rita's just looking at Judy like, bitch, why are you throwing this tantrum? You know what I'm saying? Like, she's just looking at her like she's thoroughly disgusted with the sight of Judy. Like, Judy's just this fucking bitch throwing a tantrum. Like, bitch, shut the fuck up. You're gonna get fucking shackled. It is what it is. In the next scene, we see Allie at the library, and she's gone to read up about nitrous oxide. She grabs a damn encyclopedia, and she looks at it to find nitrous oxide and to get all the information she can about this laughing gas, okay? What happens? She reads in the book that if you use the shit for 6 minutes, it's gonna cause brain damage. If you use the shit for 10 minutes, it's gonna cause death, okay? And then she looks up like she had a thought. And at this point, I'm like, oh my God. I was like, is she gonna try to kill herself? You know, that was just one of my thoughts. So meanwhile, back in the kitchen, Jake walks in, okay, with Eve talking about she's going to be working in the kitchen. So Joan is now showing Eve Wilder how to fold the towels neatly and properly. You know what I'm saying? So she's folding the towels. While she's folding the towels, Eve is basically cucando a Joan. And she's telling her, so you really have amnesia? You really don't remember who you are? You know what I'm saying? So she's just there fucking with her, talking all this shit. You know, I remember you at Blackmore. My time in Blackmore was terrible. Yada, yada, yada. And Joan is just like, you know what, bitch? Shut the fuck up, and you're folding the towels wrong. So she grabs the towel. She shows her how to fold it again. She's smiling. She's like, make sure you do this nice and neatly, okay? And then somebody comes and tells Eve, come on, I'll show you where to put the towels. And Joan is left behind looking at Eve like, this bitch has to go, okay? She grabs a tomato, puts it in her hand, and proceeds to squeeze the life out of this fucking tomato, okay? That would have been Eve Wilder's throat, okay? Had it not been for the medication that Dr. Miller is giving Joan to control her murderous urges. The next scene is Joan Ferguson, and she's in Dr. Miller's office, and she says, I'm having urges that I can't contain. You know what I'm saying? She tells him about Eve. She's like, there's this bitch that came to the prison, and she used to be an inmate in Blackmore back when I was a guard. And I'm going to tell you right now, I made this bitch's life miserable, okay? That all she wants to do is throttle her, okay? That's what she said, throttle. I'll put the definition of the word throttle here because for me, I've always thought throttle meant like jump on top of someone and throttle them, you know what I'm saying? I didn't think of it as a bad thing, but I'm thinking that it might not be necessarily the best of things. So here's the definition. She's telling him all of this, and he's like, now more than ever, it's more important for you to take another dose of this medication, you know what I'm saying? So he goes and to close the blinds like he loves to do. While he's closing the blinds, Vera comes and she sees him close the blinds. She don't say nothing. She ends up doing an about face and she walks away. But back in the office, Dr. Miller has now given Joan his back in order to put the pills in the cup. She's right behind him, right here, ready to grab the cup from his hand. She takes the cup from his hand, swallows them fucking shits without even waiting for him to give her water. When he sees that she swallowed them without the water, he's like, oh my God. I don't know why he was so shocked by the fact that she drank the pills without the water. Like, it's not a savage thing to do, but it's uncomfortable to swallow pills without water. So you really want them pills in your system if you're drinking them just like that without no water. Anyway, my thought during this scene was this. Dr. Miller, don't give Joan your back. Don't give your back to Joan. First of all, he's going to turn his back on Joan one day, and that is going to be the moment where she bashes him upside the head with that pyramid paperweight that's just sitting there on his desk. In the next scene, we see Vera. We all know that Vera is low-key a detective up in this bitch, okay? So she goes to the fucking medical records to do some investigating. And what do we see? Lizzie. She clicks on Liz Birdsworth's name, and we see Liz her picture, you know? Oh, it was great to see Lizzie again. I was like, oh, Lizzie. So we see Liz, and she looks at Liz's drug test. And then she compares it with Joan's drug test, and the shit is identical. You know what I'm saying? She sees the name of the medication that Dr. Miller was giving Liz. And she puts 2 and 2 together with her smart ass, and she gets 4. So at this point, Vera knows that it's Dr. Miller that's giving Joan the same medication he gave Liz. Meanwhile, back in the yard, Anne and Linda go to check up on Judy and to release her from her shackles, right? And Anne tells Judy, bitch, you owe me an apology. Judy's like, nope, I'm not saying sorry. So Anne goes looking for an apology. She doesn't get the apology. What she gets is Judy letting her know that she's the one behind Allie suing the prison. And then she asks Anne, like a fucking dumb bitch, like, why would you blow yourself up like that? But she asks Anne, how are your ribs healing? I hope they're doing better. I hope they're healing nicely. And Anne looks at her like, you fucking little bitch. It was you who kicked the shit out of me in the kitchen last season. Anne tells Linda, you know what? Keep her here overnight. And she leaves. And I was just like, that's right, Judy. Stay your ass outside overnight, okay? Because you deserve it to sleep with the fucking rats, if there are any rats. Wentworth looks like a very clean prison. I doubt that there's rats. But, you know, if there are any, I hope that one comes to visit you at night while you were on that bench, okay? The next scene is Joan. Wait. Oh, God, I missed a part. So while in Dr. Miller's office, Dr. Miller was telling Joan, I'm going to give you a coping mantra that you can repeat to yourself whenever you're getting these murderous urges. And Joan looks at him and she's like, a mantra? Like, if he's crazy. Dr. Miller, what the hell do you think a mantra is going to do for Joan? Do you know who she is? Like, do you even know who she is? Have you read her files? A mantra. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Smiling brings me joy. That was part of it. And I'm just like, oh my God. So now we're in H6. It's nighttime and Joan is in her cell and she's saying these mantras, okay? And she's losing it. She's in the cell. She's pacing back and forth. She's saying the mantra, smiling brings me joy. Smiling brings me joy. She's touching her forehead. She's fucking stressed, all right? This is the scene where I originally thought she was holding a swipe card. Remember my prediction that I said that she ends up killing Officer Number 3, sticking him in the freezer, but not before stealing his swipe card so she could use it to escape the prison at a later date and time? Well, it's not a swipe card. It's the damn note that the freaking mantras are written on, all right? Outside of her cell in the unit is Mari and Eve, and they're talking. They're having a cuppa. Están hablando. Eve is basically telling Mari all about Joan's time in Blackmore prison. How she was a fucking bitch. How she liked to wet tea towels, which are basically like, you know, towels. Like the towels that they were folding in the kitchen. She would take towels like that, wet them, and then you would hear the dripping of the water as she's walking up and down the halls of Blackmore prison looking for a fucking inmate to beat the shit out of with this wet towel, okay? She's telling her how Joan convinced an inmate to gouge her own eye out, which is the chick that we saw back in that fucking season, which I can't remember right now, but the one, you know, who was afraid with the eye and the short hair. Anyway, she's telling her all of this, and Mari's like, listen, I don't give a fuck. It is what it is, okay? She's not that person any longer. She is Kat Maxwell now. She's not Joan, so just, you know, stop all of this. So we go back to Joan's cell, and she's just in there, smiling brings me joy, smiling brings me joy, smiling brings me joy. And she's flipping out, and then it ends with her, like, grunting into her head because she's just like, she just wants to kill Eve Wilder, okay? These urges, they're really fucking strong. Meanwhile, back in H1, Ruby and Rita are talking about the cops. You know, the whole questioning thing and yada, yada, yada. And in the middle of that, Boomer comes and Boomer and Ruby share a funny friendship moment where Boomer asks her to scratch her healing wounds and instead Ruby tickles her and it was cute. Ruby starts, you know, giving compliments to Boomer about how she did good in that fight. Boom, boom, you know what I'm saying? And Boomer's like, oh my God, I'm a fucking idiot. I should have recorded that. As you guys remember, I don't know if you remember or not, but in my episode 2 review, I was talking about how the second that I saw the camera, I knew that Boomer would end up capturing something that shouldn't have been captured on that camera. She's gonna try to record something, and in her strategically trying to record something, she's gonna record some shit. What it is, I don't know. This next scene, it's a small short clip of Judy at nighttime cold in the yard, right? And so then the next scene that we see is we see a wet towel dripping, right? And I'm thinking to myself, this has to be a dream. We see a door open and we see Eve Wilder in Joan Ferguson's cell. We see a sleeping Joan Ferguson. And again, I'm like, this has got to be a dream. This can't be real. And so Eve goes to hit Joan with the damn towel. When all of a sudden Joan wakes up, grabs the towel, takes it from Eve, okay? And then she goes and starts choking Eve out with the towel. So Joan is behind Eve, strangling the life out of her, okay? This is the moment that Joan Ferguson has been waiting for. To strangle the shit out of fucking Eve Wilder. Remember what the definition of the word throttle was? To strangle. This is her fucking dream come true. So Joan starts telling Eve, when we were in Blackmore prison, I saw right into your soul. I know who you are. You're a fucking murderer. You know what I'm saying? And you being in here, hitting that guy with the car, that was no accident. She basically gets Eve to confess that her killing these men was no accident. You know what I'm saying? And so Joan lets Eve go once she confesses. Then she sits down on the chair. She's bunching up the towel like this. This isn't long enough for me to do it, but she had it like this. She's saying something to Eve, and as she's doing this, she pretends to go hit her with the towel, and Eve goes, whoop. So that whole clip with Eve doing that weird arm movement that I was like, what is she doing? Breakdancing? It was her flinching. And then she laughs. She does this hand movement and then she does this fucking laugh. And then I started to laugh and my thought was, yo, these bitches are fucking insane. And they are going to be hilarious together. Number one, they're gonna wreak havoc on the prison. Number two, I just found that scene so fucking funny. The ending, the whole shoo, oh, and then she laughs like, bitch, what the fuck are you laughing at? This bitch almost tried to kill you. She's crazy. They're both fucking nuts. It's so funny. We're back in the yard now. We see Judy Bryant's freezing fucking ass on the thing. And I felt nothing but happiness. I'm like, that's right, bitch. You freeze. So Judy Bryant's treacherous ass is freezing in the yard the way that she should be. Okay? And that was that. So now we're back in H1 inside Allie's cell. And what is she doing? She's in bed. But she can't sleep. She's restless. She's thinking things. So she gets up and she pulls out a fucking butter knife. Okay? A butter knife. Why do the inmates have silver cutlery? They shouldn't be having plastic shit. They shouldn't even have knives, period. It's TV, so whatever. Long story short, she grabs a fucking butter knife and she starts going to town on her tooth. And I'm just like, oh, that was hard for me to watch because teeth things are very sensitive to me. And I'm like, it causes me great pain when I see other people going through pain with their teeth. So she's digging this knife in her fucking mouth. And she pulls out the cap that the guy put on the tooth, but she was bleeding. And then she spits blood onto her hand. Oh my God, I hate blood from the mouth. It's morning in Wentworth Correctional Center. And Will Jackson, finally we see him for the first time in this episode. And he's walking into work, okay? Looking really, really handsome. And what does he see? A frozen popsicle stick named Judy Bryant. And he sees her there, frozen, shivering. And so he takes off his coat. He puts his coat on this bitch, all right? Let her fucking freeze, if you ask me. He puts his coat on her, tells her, you're going to be fine. And he picks her up, okay? And carries her to medical. And I'm just like, you know, Will is such a good guy, okay? I hope he lives. I hope he doesn't die. Just, you know, there's certain people that I want them to live. Boomer, Will, my precious baby love, Luke Kelly, okay? So the next scene is Vera, and she's behind the wheel, driving her ass to work, okay? But she's falling asleep. She's like having troubles staying awake, you know what I'm saying? She's falling out. And so she ends up falling asleep behind the fucking wheel, all right? She hits a bump, she wakes the fuck up, and then she pulls over, comes out of the car, goes to check on baby Grace in the back seat. She's looking at baby Grace. At first she looks horrified, and I'm like, what the fuck has happened? You know what I'm saying? But then we see baby Grace. And I say baby because first of all, that was not baby Grace. I don't know who the fuck that baby was. But that was the first thing that came out of my mouth when I saw this child. I was like, that is not Baby Grace. Listen, you thought that us as viewers were not gonna realize that you have switched babies? That's not the Baby Grace I know and love. Like, don't be switching babies on us, okay? So Baby Grace is fine. So the next scene is Vera inside the halls of Wentworth. She goes into, like, you know, the lounge room or whatever, and she sees Jake, and she's telling Jake, listen, would you be down to pick up Baby Grace from the fucking nursery after work and stay with the baby overnight, because I need some sleep? And he's like, oh yes, I'm so with it. He's so excited about this because this is the moment he's been waiting for. He just wants to spend time with his daughter. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, listen, I'll do it. I'll do it for tonight. I'll do it for 2 nights in a row. Shit, I'll do it for as long as you need me to. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, thank you. And she touches his hand. Okay? And then he looks at her with this look, this hopeful look. You know what I mean? Like, I'm wearing her down. First, she lets me spend the night with my child. Next thing you know, I'll be spending the night in her bed. You know, like, that's the vibe that I got. And it's gonna be sad because I think that, like, I had said it in one of my older predictions, like, months and months ago, like 9 months ago, that I hope that they end up, you know, getting together and having a happy ending. So I think that they're gonna have, like, maybe one last kiss or maybe one last moment. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, I do believe that Eve Wilder, anyway, we'll get to this later. Jake, Eve Wilder, Joan. We'll talk about this in a minute. So the next scene is Rita, and she's back. Did I ever mention to you that, fun fact, because I'm constantly talking about Ruby and Rita, but did I ever mention to you how I have a sister named Ruby? So my older sister's name is Ruby, and I have an ex-girlfriend named Rita. So I've got a Ruby and a Rita in my life because I'm friends with my ex-girlfriend Rita. She's the one that put me onto Wentworth, as a matter of fact. If it wasn't for her, I would have never known about Wentworth. So shout out to Rita, wherever the fuck you at. So Rita is talking to the detectives, okay? They're talking to Rita and Ruby. So we're getting clips of Rita talking to the detectives and Ruby talking to the detectives. And so they're basically telling them their stories. But the detectives, they're talking like, listen, Joan said this and Joan said that. And they're like, but that's not what it is. It's this, not that. And so they're basically acting, the cops are, like they don't believe Ruby and Rita. And so Ruby tells them, I got proof, all right? And I was like, what proof do you possibly have, Ruby? Like, what are you up to? So then the next scene is Ruby and Rita in the halls of Wentworth. They're walking and they're talking, and Ruby's telling her, listen, I got this. You know what I'm saying? Like, all I gotta do is talk to Eddie, and Eddie will tell them the truth. You know what I'm saying? And so Rita's like, call him right now and get this motherfucker in for a VI because you need to talk to him before the cops do. So that's what happens, right? So the next scene is Anne, and she's in the lift when all of a sudden walks in Will Jackson, and he's telling her, listen, bitch, you don't cross the line. Did you know that Judy Bryant's treacherous fucking ass is in medical right now, suffering from fucking hypothermia because your crazy ass decided that you wanted to shackle her to a restraint station and leave her there overnight como la loca? Did you authorize that? And she's like, I did, because she said this, that, and the third. And Will is like, you know what, bitch, you've gone too far and I'm taking it to the board. And she's like, Will, really? And he's like, yup, that's right. And so he walks out the elevator talking about, you about to get a taste of your own medicine, bitch. And she walks away pissed. In the next scene, we see Vera, and she walks into Anne's office looking for Anne, and Anne is nowhere to be found. But then Vera looks and sees her crying in the corner. Now, when I saw her in the corner, I'm not gonna lie, I'm an asshole and maybe a little bit insensitive because of this, but when I saw this bitch crying in the corner, I started singing, that's me in the corner. So she's there crying, and Vera's like, oh, Anne, what the fuck is wrong with you? What's your problem? Why are you crying? And Anne tells her that it's the 2-year anniversary of her daughter Charlotte's death, right? And she's there crying, and she's like, I can't take it. And I just wanted to say, my note was, fuck you, Anne Reynolds, for making me cry in this scene, you bitch. Cry count. My cry count for episode 1 was 4. For episode 2, my cry count was 3. I didn't cry during episode 3, but I got misty-eyed twice. And so that doesn't count for the cry count. But for this cry count, this episode, I cried 1 time and 1 time only. And it was during this scene. I wasn't full-blown in hysterics, but the tears were coming down my eyes. It was a sad scene. Listen, people grieving the loss of their loved ones, I get it. I get it. But fuck you, Anne Reynolds, for making me cry, all right? Because I can't stand her. So basically, she's crying to Vera, and she's telling, because she's such a fucking pendeja. You know what I'm saying? You'll see why later. But she's crying to Vera, and she's telling Vera, you know, my daughter died, 2-year anniversary, yada yada. Vera, and then she's like, I can't be here. And Vera's like, you know what? Get the fuck out. Go the fuck home. I think you're right. Get the hell out of here. So she's telling her, you go. I'll talk to Will. So the next scene is Vera in the governor's office, and she's telling Will, don't call the freaking board on Anne. You don't know what's going on. And she tells him. Her daughter died 2 years ago. She's a fucking mess. She's not in the right state of mind. She don't know what she's thinking or doing. And Will don't give a fuck. He's like, listen, I don't give a fuck, all right? What she did was criminal, and she's gonna fucking pay. She's going fucking down. And Vera's like, yo, we are all criminals, but we didn't get caught. That's all. So what high horse are you sitting on that you have to fucking turn in a criminal? Meanwhile, you done buried the freak alive. None of these words came out of Vera's mouth, but this is what she meant, okay? And if you want to know how I know, it's because I know these characters, all right? I know what they're fucking thinking. Will Jackson says fucking shit, but he agrees. He agrees not to call the board, to tell the board about what Anne has done, almost killing this bitch who deserved it, if you ask me. So, in the next scene, it's the VI room. It's Boomer and Gavin, as well as Ruby and Eddie on the VI floor, okay? So they're both having their little visits. Boomer is taking the SD card out of her mouth to slide it over to Gavin so he could put that shit wherever the fuck it is he's gonna put it, so he could post the footage onto his website called The Slammer or Slammer. And Ruby's over here talking to Eddie, putting him on to what the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta tell the truth, blah, 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 yada, yada. We go back to Boomer and Gavin, and he's telling her, she's telling him what's on the SD card. He's like, what, there's no, like, you know, lesbian action besides a little bit of dry humping, and she's like, nah. And he's like, they'll pay extra for that. He says, I'll pay extra for the full Lezo Monty. What the fuck is that? I'm assuming it's the full lesbian experience. I don't know, but what's the fascination with dudes wanting to see two girls? I don't know. Anyway, she's like, pay extra with what? Spoof? So basically, they made a deal for Boomer to capture two bitches having sex, the full Lezo Monty, as Gavin put it, all right? And he will supply her with more spoof, because I'm assuming the first round of spoof didn't take, okay? So anyway, now we're in the yard where we see Eve Wilder sitting there minding her damn business when all of a sudden comes Jake Stewart talking about, I know you already gave me a tip as far as putting the hot water bottle to keep my baby from crying all night, but do you have any other tips? And this bitch tells him, yeah, how about you try a teaspoon of boiled onion water in her bottle? And I was like, what the fuck are you saying, Eve Wilder? Boiled onion water? Is this a real tip? Because that shit sounds terrible, and like it's gonna make the baby cry even more. I was like, what in the fuck? So he tells her, thank you, and he walks off. So as she's telling him these things, boiled onion water, he's like, well, thank you. And she's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. She touches his hand, all right? You got a lot of nerve. This is a fucking screw, okay? You're not supposed to touch him, but she touches him. He don't say nothing about it either, because he loves her, all right? He's her biggest fan. So he walks off, and Eve is left there watching him walking away. She's staring at his ass. And while she's staring at his ass, who's staring at her? Joan Ferguson. Because let me tell you something. Throughout these episodes, Joan Ferguson has just been standing back watching the women. Watching their every fucking move. Both women and guards. You know what I'm saying? She's just watching and waiting. The next scene is Allie, and she's back in the dentist office, this handsome ass dentist, and she's in there. I can appreciate the beauty of a man, you know what I'm saying, without wanting to be with one. Do you understand? So Allie's now in the dentist, okay? He's fixing the cap. His mind is boggled as to how the fuck this cap came out. And so right before they were getting ready to leave, and she's there right next to the damn canisters of nitrous oxide, she pees on herself. And then she starts to cry, and he gives her some tissues, and she's like, can I please have some privacy so I can wipe my pissed ass? And they're like, yes, we'll give you some privacy. So they leave. While they leave, she's stealing canister number 3. She takes the canister, she shoves it in between her legs, like underneath her legs, like if she's sitting on it, you know what I'm saying? And then she moves canister number 4 into canister number 3's spot, and then closes the little shelf, the little door a little bit. The screw doesn't even bother telling her to lift her blanket the way she did the first time because she knows that she done pissed on herself. And I'm just like, damn, this is so clever. So Allie is wheeling herself back to H1, and I loved this shot because she's wheeling herself, but she's looking down at the camera. So her eyes are looking right into the camera. First of all, they have a lot of different shots this season that I am thoroughly enjoying. Like, I love all the above, like the aerial shots, or like the angle from down looking up. Like, I like these angles they're showing us, and I like how they're showing us every last inch of Wentworth, like places we've never seen, like the chemicals cupboard, the area where Judy's gonna get dunked in episodes in the future. It's great. I just love this. The next scene is in H6, and we've got Joan and Eve's crazy asses, and they're in Joan's cell basically having a slumber party minus the snacks and drinks. You know what I'm saying? So they're there, and Joan is basically talking to Eve, asking her questions about, you know, the men that she killed, why did she kill them, how did she kill them. At this point, Eve knows that Joan is Joan Ferguson and is faking the amnesia, okay? Joan couldn't help herself. She had to do what she had to do when Eve came and whacked her, okay, with the towel. And so Eve knows that it's Joan. So now they're in this cell, and they're going back and forth, and they're talking about past crimes. And while they're talking, we see little clips of Allie and what she's doing in her cell. So Allie's in her cell getting the nitrous oxide ready so she could get high, okay? And then now we're back in Joan's cell. They're still talking true crime, and Joan is getting Eve to spill her guts. Joan, at this point, knows all of Eve's murderous secrets, okay? She knows that there was some dude named Gary who she stabs him 16 times, basically because he rejected her, said he was gay, but was fucking 3 other bitches while he was fucking Eve, and she couldn't take it, so lo mató, apuñala, okay? And Joan is loving every minute of this murderous fucking conversation. She lays down in her bed and gets comfortable, and she's like, tell me about the others, or the second one. You know what I'm saying? Like, she wants to know it all. So now we're back in Allie's cell where she's high as fuck, okay? She's back in the ocean, swimming in the sea, when all of a sudden her memory comes into her mind and she sees herself in the shower. We are taken back now to season 8, episode 10, where Allie was in the showers and she gets stabbed up. And she sees Lou. So while watching this scene, I'm like, oh my God, this is it. She's going to see Judy. She's going to see Judy in this clip. But she don't see Judy's treacherous ass. She sees Lou Kelly instead. So she wakes up, and I feel like this is the moment where she ends up deciding to do what she ends up doing later on, which we'll talk about soon because it's coming up, right? So the next scene is Vera sneaking into Dr. Miller's office to check his shit, you know what I'm saying? So she's checking through his drawers, and what does she find? The medication that he's been giving Joan Ferguson. While she's there looking at the medication, Dr. Miller walks in. So Dr. Miller walks in, and he asks her, bitch, what in the fuck are you doing in my office? And she's like, what's this? Have you been giving these medications to Joan Ferguson? What the hell is wrong with you? And he was like, this is the medication that I gave to Liz. It helped her with her memories. Don't you recall? You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that it's going to help Joan remember who she is. Isn't that what you wanted? You know what I'm saying? And she looks at him like, you son of a bitch. Yeah, it's what I want. But fuck you for doing it this way. She didn't say this. This is what she was thinking. And she walks out. And he's left looking concerned, as he should be. What the fuck you think you are, Dr. Miller? Like, Dr. Miller, at this point, I think is just so desperate to make a name for himself and prove that this experimental drug works. You know what I'm saying? That he don't care what happens. Like, anybody in their right mind would have not given Joan these drugs. Like, you know why you having urges, bitch? It's because you're fucking crazy and you need help, not these pills. Because clearly they're not working. Even though they kind of are, but they're really not. So, the next scene is Rita back talking to the detectives, and she's like, did y'all speak to Eddie? And they're like, no, we weren't able to speak to Eddie. Why? Because Eddie's fucking dead, all right? He died from a drug overdose. And so they're talking and they're saying whatever they're saying, but Rita's not hearing any of it. Because in her mind, all she's thinking is somebody killed Eddie. It clearly was Jones who did it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be stuck in this bitch for the rest of my fucking life. Or for a very long time, because I don't know what her sentence is. But Will Jackson said she's facing a lot of time. So the next scene is Rita and Ruby, and they're in the yard, and Rita is going to town, bloop, bloop, on the punching bag. It's great. I love watching her box. So they're talking, and Ruby's telling Rita it wasn't no damn drug overdose. He didn't take drugs. And so Rita tells her it was Jonesy. He's cleaning house. He clearly killed Eddie. And Ruby's like, oh man, so we're fucked? We're fucked is what's happening here? And Rita's like, you know, I think that he's rattled. We've rattled him. So that basically means Jones is scared, and Rita punching this bag, I feel like she feels like there's still a shot, you know, like all is not lost. Now we're still in the yard, and Joan and Eve are sitting at the yard. Joan is telling her, I'm going to go get some snacks. Do you want some? And Eve is like, nah, I'm good. When Jake comes to thank Eve for the fucking boiled onion water tip, because it seems to have worked. And it kept baby Grace quiet. And so he tells her, I don't know how to thank you. Like, I don't know how I could possibly thank you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you can try. And he says something about how great she is. And she's like, oh, come on. Loving every fucking minute of it, okay? Now he, this time, touches her hand and then walks away. She's there just like a pig in shit, a happy-ass pig in her own filth, right? Because she's flirting. This is what she does. She becomes infatuated with dudes, and when they reject her, she kills them. So Joan, as usual, is seeing this entire fucking interaction while she's standing by the line in the commissary, okay? She comes to Eve when Jake leaves, and she's like, I reckon you've got a fan. I think he likes you. Look at him. He's smitten. And then when I watched this, I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen. Eve Wilder is a murderous bitch who kills men who reject her. Joan Ferguson is a fucking psychopath and can't contain her murderous urges, and she wants Jake dead. You know what I'm saying? Eve is a murderous bitch. Joan wants Jake dead. Eve kills guys who reject her. Joan wants Jake dead. So Joan puts it into Eve's ear. Jake's got the hots for you. He's smitten. He's your biggest fucking fan. Eve is like, oh my God, she's all aflutter, okay? And so that's Joan setting the stage for Eve to do her dirty work. She's going to have Eve kill Jake for her. That's what's going to happen. Yeah, Eve is going to become infatuated with Jake. She's going to flirt with him. Maybe he might flirt back, who knows? But I get the feeling that Jake is going to reject her. Jake is not going to want no parts of Eve. He's in love with Vera. You know what I'm saying? At one point, when these whole teasers came out, I thought that I was horrified by the thought that Jake and Eve Wilder might potentially get together. Because, like, what are you thinking? She's pretty, yeah. But what the fuck? Don't you want to get back with Vera? Because that's the vibe that I got, that he wants Vera and his family. Meanwhile, back in H6, we see my beautiful, precious baby love, Luke Kelly, right, sitting in her cell, just as fine as she wants to be. I can't get over how beautiful Kate Box is. Like, her face is just so beautiful. I've never seen anything like it, ever. Lou is in her cell and she's looking at a letter. Mari comes in talking about, oh, you got a letter, who's it from? And Lou says it's from Reb's mother. And she's like, I'm not even going to bother reading it because I know what it's going to say. Probably a bunch of bullshit is what I'm guessing. So Mari sits down and she's like, listen, Lou, I'm worried about you. Did you really mean what you said the other night about killing everybody? And Lou was like, nah, you're good. Everyone's good. Everyone's safe. I was just upset. I didn't mean it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have nothing to worry about. And Mari's like, all right, cool. And she walks out the cell. So then Lou opens the letter, right? And inside the letter, there's a photo. Oh my God. And it's a photo of Reb's tombstone, all right? His headstone. And it says Reb Keen. And then underneath his name, it says, may she rest in peace. Oh my God. For what was that? The first thing I said was like, he, bitch. He, not she. And so I was like, damn. So when she saw this picture, she was about to curse. She was like, you fucking, and I'm assuming she was going to be like, you fucking bitch. But she never got a chance to finish her sentence. Why? Why didn't she get a chance to finish her sentence? Because fucking Ali Novak snuck behind my precious baby love and bashed her upside the fucking head with a canister of nitrous oxide. My precious baby love goes falling to the side. She keels over to the side, okay? And Allie's left, like, with the thing in her hand. And I'm just like, oh my God, you fucking bitch. Why would you do it? Allie, I don't care that you're in a wheelchair. And I know that I feel bad for you and I sympathize with your plight. You know what I'm saying? But leave Luke Kelly alone. Because Luke Kelly's not the one. And if you think that she's going to just let this go, you're bugging, okay? You know what? I think Luke Kelly is gonna let it go. I think Lou Kelly's gonna let it go. Like, Allie and Lou are gonna come together in a moment of mutual outrage, okay, over what Judy Bryant has done, both with stabbing Allie and trying to put the blame for it on Lou, okay, and Judy stealing Lou and Reb's money. So they're gonna come together and they're gonna join forces for that small amount of time. And then after that, Lou and Allie probably won't have any more beef in the future, is what I think, after the whole Judy situation is settled. What do y'all think? So then the next scene we see is we're in Lou's cell and she's tied to a chair. And she's shaking, you know what I'm saying? She's like tied to the thing. She's got the fucking gas mask on, and Allie's sitting there in her wheelchair with the fucking canister in her lap, and she's like turning it on, and she's got this look on her face like she means it. And so they're looking at each other when all of a sudden Lou starts cracking up, right? This scene to me was hilarious, all right? So Lou starts cracking the fuck up because she's high, you know what I'm saying? So she's high as a kite, and now she's cracking up. And Allie's telling her, yeah, it's all fun and games in the beginning, but did you know 6 minutes in, you're gonna become brain dead. 10 minutes in, you're gonna fucking die. And so death for you, that would be too easy, because then you could be Reb forever. You know what I'm saying? How is that gonna give me any satisfaction? Nah, bitch, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm gonna leave you brain dead, okay? That is gonna bring me a massive amount of satisfaction. And so Lou is cracking the fuck up, high as shit, and she's like, I didn't do it. And Allie's like, Keke? She's like, you said what now? And Lou is like, I didn't do it. I didn't stab you. I wanted to fucking kill you. I wanted to fucking stab you, but somebody beat me to it. You was already stabbed up laying on the ground when I got there. And so Allie's like, if you didn't do it, who did? And my precious baby love with her fine ass, first of all, when she told Allie I didn't do it, we got a close-up of her eyes. And she's like, I didn't do it. And she's cracking the fuck up, but her eyes tell me that she's not having a good time. Her eyes were worried and like borderline crying. Like, her eyes were panicked and sad and like, help me type shit. But her mouth was laughing. I didn't do it. It was Judy. So she tells her it was Judy. And Allie's like, what? And Lou Kelly's like, Judy, it was fucking Judy. You know what I'm saying? I walked to the bathroom, but I saw her coming out the bathrooms before I went in. It was Judy. So Allie turns off the thing and says, what did you say? You know what I'm saying? And then Lou tells her, Judy is the one who stabbed you, bitch. You didn't hear? Allie says, why would Judy? And then she stops. And I was like, that's why, bitch. So she stops because before she even finished asking Lou the question, the full question was going to be, why would Judy stab me? But she only said, why would Judy? Because she already knew the answer. Judy tried to kill me because she knew that I knew that she stole Lou and Reb's money. It was like a revelation. Oh my God. I received a message last night, and the person was telling me that they were reading in a Facebook group, right? I'm going to put Yo, I look crazy. This is what I look like when I first wake up, first of all, okay? Welcome to my morning. But I had to stop to record this real quick because I have to finish editing. They sent me this message, and basically the question was, if Allie is paralyzed in a wheelchair and cannot get up and walk, how in the fuck did she get Lou onto the chair and tie her up? Okay? Is she faking her paralysis? You know what I'm saying? Can she really walk? Hold on one second. So I was just on the ground with the chair doing an experiment, but not 100%. So Lou Kelly is sitting on a chair when this takes place. So she's sitting on the chair when Allie comes like a bat out of hell and bashes her upside the head. She falls to the side, but it looks like the chair didn't fall. So my answer, my thoughts as far as who picked up Lou and tied her to this chair, it was Allie. Allie did it. If you remember in the beginning of the episode, they showed us this musical montage, right? And what did we see? We saw Allie. We saw Allie working out heavy, okay? She's getting that arm strength up. She's doing nothing but using her arms in the wheelchair, getting from point A to point B, getting up from the toilet bowl to the chair, from the bed to the chair. Like, that's all arm strength because her legs no longer work, okay? So this is what I think happened. When Lou fell, Allie put the chair and she positioned the chair behind Lou. She duct taped Lou, or taped her with whatever tape that was. It wasn't duct tape, it was black tape. She tapes her with this black tape, okay, to the fucking chair. And then, being that she's got her weight up, as far as her arm strength, okay, what happens? She picks up Lou from the chair. Discussing it right now because I was on the ground and I'm telling her, bend over and see if you'd be able to tie my legs to the chair. She doesn't want to be in the video, so we can't reenact the experiment. Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
You see how she is? I don't think she's faking her paralysis because she's going through so much stress. Why would she fake all of this? Like, what would be the purpose of faking all of this stress? Like, for what, you know? So I think that's what it is. I think in that beginning little scene when they showed Allie bending all the way down to wash her feet, it's just showing us what her range of motion is. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think happened. I think Allie is very strong. She's a lot stronger than we think. But she's still no match for Lou Kelly. Let me just say that I loved high laughing Lou. You know what I'm saying? Her laughter is just everything. I love everything about this character. You know what I'm saying? Everything about her. Her smile, her face, the way in which she laughs. You know what I'm saying? I was laughing with her, como la loca. So we're in the home stretch, guys. These are like the last 3 scenes here. So in the next scene is an H6 and we see Lou. We see Lou and she's looking at the picture of Reb's headstone and what it said, and she burns the picture. So that was the little clip, that was the photo that was leaked at some while ago that I had posted in one of my videos of Lou burning the paper. Turns out that's what she was burning. She was burning the photo of Reb's disrespectful headstone that the mother did. So now more than ever, I think Lou was right. Reb probably got buried in a fucking dress, which is just so fucked up. So Mari asks her, are you okay? She sees that Lou is burning the picture and she asks her, are you okay? And Lou tells her, I've been better. Bitch, the fuck you think I'm okay? How am I gonna be okay? And then in the next scene, we're in the halls of Wentworth by the phones, and we see a happy, treacherous Judy Bryant on the phone, and then we see Anne and Vera, you know, in the hallway, in the halls of Wentworth. And Anne goes to Judy to apologize because remember Will said, I won't take it to the board if you say sorry to this bitch. So Anne goes and says, listen, I'm sorry. And fucking Judy, bro, let me tell you something. I just want to punch her in her face. I've never wanted to punch a fictional character in their face as much as I want to punch Judy Bryant in her face. Not only do I want to punch her in her face, right? But I want to punch her hard in her face. And then I want to hit her with other objects, okay, as well. And then maybe kick her a couple of times because, bitch, you've got a lot of nerve and I can't stand you. She tells Anne, you know, I just had a very good phone call, okay? So I'm in great spirits. So yes, I will accept your apology because I'm in a forgiving mood today. And then she looks at her, she smiles, smirks, and she walks away. Bitch, I wanted a back smack her. In the middle of all of this, Judy at one point took a step closer to Anne Reynolds. And Anne Reynolds did one of these. She backed up like a fucking pussy ass bitch. I know Anne Reynolds, okay? First of all, Anne Reynolds, you're trying to tell me that as tough as you are, okay, with all of this and all the restraint stations and this, that, and the third, you're gonna back up when Judy, out of all people, Judy takes a step towards you? Judy ain't shit. How dare you be afraid of her? You know what I'm saying? But we all know Anne is pussy. We saw what happened when Lou tried to run up on her. But that's to be expected because Lou is a force to be reckoned with, okay? Judy's just a little bitch. She's like a little fucking tick that needs to be plucked away, okay? And stepped on afterwards. I couldn't believe that Anne backed up for Judy. Then Anne, after this, she looks at Vera like, you see what the fuck I'm saying? Never again am I going to say sorry to this bitch. Ever. From now on, that's it. So meanwhile, back in H1, this is the last scene of the episode. The girls, Boomer, Ruby, Rita, Allie, they're all there. They're congregated. They're playing cards. When a bouncing, skipping, excited Judy Bryant comes with her treacherous ass, all right, into the fucking unit and tells everyone, guess what, girls? They have decided to stop my extradition because whoever the fuck it is looking into me and Allie and me being Allie's caregiver, and that's it. So I'm gonna be able to stay here longer and yada yada yada. So she's happy as a pig and shit over this, and then she goes to, and the girls are like, well, that's great news. So then fucking Judy Bryant's treacherous fucking snake ass, okay, slithers her way to Allie Novak's cheek and tells her, I would have never been able to do this without you. Thank you. And then she bends down to give Allie the kiss. Kiss on the cheek, the on the cheek. And I'm just like, oh my God, you're a fucking bitch, Judy Bryant. And when you get yours, you're gonna get yours, okay? And Allie's just looking at her with this face. So Allie's just looking into the sky like, bitch, if you don't get the fuck away from me with your fucking lips. And so the episode ends. Oh my God, world. It was a good fucking episode. So let's, do some thoughts real quick. My thoughts moving forward, predictions, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to give you thoughts, I gave you some predictions earlier. So my predictions are, and my thoughts are, I think it's clear to everyone that Joan Ferguson is going to use Eve Wilder to do her bidding, all right? We all know she wants Jake dead. We all know that Eve now is a fucking crazy-ass bitch who kills dudes when they don't want to fuck with her. So we can put 2 and 2 together and get 4. Eve is going to try to have her way with Jake. Jake is going to reject her because he's in love with Vera and wants his family back, all right? And so Eve is going to kill Jake Stewart. And it's going to be sad because for me, I already been said this, for me, Jake has redeemed himself. I don't give a fuck that he killed Nils Jesper. Nils Jesper had to die. So he did the world a service by killing Nils Jesper. I don't think Jake is a bad guy. Very easily manipulated, perhaps, but not a bad dude, okay? Some questions that I have are, how will Lou find out about Judy and the bread? So this is what I think is going to happen as far as when Lou finds out about it. I think Allie's going to tell Lou, listen, I know who took your money. It wasn't me who took your money. It was Judy. Because she's probably going to be on some shit like, bitch, I told you Judy stabbed you, and now all of a sudden you want to blame Judy too for stealing the bread. Where's your proof? So then I think that's when Lou is going to get access to this phone. You know what I'm saying? She's going to see that it was Judy who took her bread, okay? And then that's when the whole water dunking begins. And then Lou decides to make Judy her bitch. As far as Joan and Dr. Miller and Vera is concerned, I feel like Vera is going to keep her mouth shut about Dr. Miller giving this bitch the drugs. Only because Vera wants the truth to come out about Joan is not Kath, Joan is Joan. So I do think she's gonna let Dr. Miller continue to give her this medication until something goes wrong. Jake probably gets killed by Eve Wilder. Vera's convinced that it was Joan who did it, and that's when she gives up Dr. Miller. Dr. Miller gets fired. Now Joan really stops taking the medication and really flips the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that will happen. But this episode was so good. It was such a fun episode, from the music and the scenes and Allie running around trying to steal the nitrous oxide. You know what I'm saying? I've never had nitrous oxide, and I've been to the dentist many, many times, and I've always wanted it so bad because I want to laugh too. You know what I'm saying? They never fucking give it to me, bastards. Girl, what are your thoughts? I loved the scene between Joan and Eve Wilder when Joan pretends to hit her with the damn towel and Eve does the weird thing and then starts laughing. It was like watching 2 crazy ass bitches, all right, just laughing about their most horrible things that they've done. It was fucking great. It was so funny. All right, world, I think that was it. I don't think I have any more thoughts on this episode. If I do, I'll add them in during the editing process like I usually do. I made another video about scenes in Wentworth that I can't watch, and one scene that I've never ever watched. So that's gonna be posted up next, and I'm also gonna have some fan art. Wentworth fan art appreciation time is coming up as well. Oh my God, do you know what this means? We've only got 6 episodes left. We have watched 4 episodes. There are only 6 episodes left of Wentworth, and it saddens me so fucking deeply. You don't even fucking know. Oh my God, I'm not gonna let Wentworth die. Wentworth will never die. It will never end because I plan on keeping it alive. Whatever I need to do to keep Wentworth alive, okay? So yeah, world, that was it. If you like this video, you already know what to do. Like my shit, subscribe to my channel, ring the damn notification bell so you could be alerted when I post videos in the future. Thank you so much for watching. That's it. So, all right, world, bye.